What is up there everyone, it's the Gardener Gamertag here, and welcome to Battlefield 4 Mastery, the series where I try and master as many of the weapons in Battlefield 4 as possible. Now today, we're going to be mastering the Ace 23 Assault Rifle, as recommended by Jer the Bear. Now, unfortunately there has been a slight issue with this gun in that it doesn't actually have a mastery dog tag. However, when you look on my battle log stats, you will actually see I currently have 514 kills with this weapon. Now the Ace 23 is a fully automatic assault rifle with a fairly moderate rate of fire. I'd say the recoil is fairly easy to control and the damage output is very solid for this gun, and it is generally considered to be one of the best weapons in the game. Now at 10 kills you will unlock the Coyote 1x red dot sight. Now this is a very good sight because it has minimal housing, it's very clear and allows you to see a lot in your field of view. And it really does suit the weapon's aesthetic, seeing that this is a Chinese weapon, so of course the Chinese sight will suit the weapon and it just works very well as a sight in general. Now the weapon's moderate rate of fire means that it can actually hold its own at almost any range. In close quarters it can still outperform guns, however in barrel stuffing range and very close quarters you're going to struggle against higher rate of fire weapons, because this gun doesn't quite suit that characteristic and it doesn't have the greatest hipfire in the world. But when you can put 10 meters or so between your enemies, this is when the gun will excel, because its rate of fire is higher than the marksman weapons, but still low enough that it's controllable, and it means that you can get good accurate shots at medium range. So I found that actually in medium range this gun will actually generally dominate the competition, and it has a good enough muzzle velocity that you can track your targets very easily. However, I found the Ace does struggle at extreme long range because it has very high first shot recoil. And even with the angled foregrip it still keeps this characteristic, which means it isn't very good for longer range kills because tap firing isn't really an effective tactic with this weapon. So sticking to close to medium range is really going to suit this weapon the best. Now, having a rate of fire that's good but on the slightly slower side compared to some of the other weapons, I found that it suits a very slow playstyle. Not necessarily camping, but you don't need to be running in balls to the wall rushing. You just sort of want to play it a bit smarter, stick back and push up with your team. You don't want to be running on the front lines necessarily because you will easily get out damaged by the high rate of fire weapons. And I found that it means that you need to play more as a medic, where you're staying back a little bit, you're healing and reviving your teammates. Now this will be one of the few times I actually recommend that you use a specific field upgrade with this weapon, and I would recommend the medic field upgrade, because when you get to that third field upgrade you get defib upgrade, which then means that you can charge up your defibrillators and revive people to 100% health a lot quicker. And I find this to be very beneficial when using the Ace, because you stick back just generally when you're playing with this weapon, and you will be able to make an effective push with your team. Because that's the point, you may see people go on amazing kill streaks with this weapon, but they're generally in an area with their team. They're very rarely on their own because this gun doesn't quite suit a lone wolf playstyle. You really want to be with your team and supporting your team with this weapon. Overall, I'd say it's a very jack of all trades weapon. It works at all ranges but excels at medium range. And I can understand exactly why people consider it to be one of the best weapons. Sometimes you can absolutely dominate with this gun. However, I personally just haven't had a feel for it. I don't know why, I've just not really taken a liking to the gun, unlike guns like the CBJMS where I just loved it instantly. I just didn't really get a feel for this gun. I can understand how to play and play to the gun's strengths, but I just couldn't quite get a feeling for it. Now in terms of the recommended loadouts I would say you want to use a suppressor on this gun, because I found that staying back you want to try and keep off the radar so enemies won't know exactly where you are, and it means that the odd times you do decide to make a push up, maybe by yourself or with a couple of teammates, the enemies aren't going to spot you, and so you're going to be a lot harder to find, which makes you a much more effective team player, because it means your squad could then spawn on you and you could take an objective, which will be very useful for your team. Now I would say you'd either use an angled foregrip or stubby grip. The angled foregrip reduces your first shot recoil, but if you're planning on tap firing I'd say use another weapon, because even with the angled foregrip it doesn't make tap firing a viable strategy with this weapon. I personally prefer to use the stubby grip just because I found it tamed the recoil the best out of all the foregrips, and I didn't find the extra strafing that you would get from an ergo grip to be that beneficial. I personally would stick with a one-time sight just because the way the gun plays, it works in close quarters and the sights always give you good field of view at medium range, which can be useful considering that is where this gun excels. I would always go with a Cobra. The Coyote sight works well, the HD33 also does work quite well. They're the sights I would stick with. I personally don't like the reflex sight, I just don't like how blocky it is on the screen. Now in terms of your secondary gadget, I personally use a laser sight just for close quarters so I can hip fire people if necessary. You've just got to make sure that you're turning the laser sight off at longer ranges because it can give away your position. But anyway guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. This has been my review of the Ace 23 Assault Rifle. It is generally a very good weapon and I would recommend you use it if you want to try something new. But anyway guys, don't forget to suggest the weapons you want me to master next in the description. This has been the Gardener Gamertag and I'll see you on another video.